Hey guys, welcome in for Truth Talks. It's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday night. Everybody's ready for the weekend. Everybody's got the TGIF thing going on. Well, thank goodness it's every day. Make every day a Friday. I think that's a Joel Osteen book. Make every day a Friday, or pretend everything's Friday. I don't know, but anyway, welcome in for Truth Talks. My name is Marci Batiste. I'm your ultimate power coach. I'm here to help you get over your stumbling blocks, accept 100% ownership and responsibility for your life, your relationships, and your business so that you can create a custom-fitted life, one that you really, truly love to live. And I have on one of my favorite t-shirts, my World, My Life, My Rules t-shirt. That's part of my whole Live Life on Mars. That's part of my being sold out to my happiness. And you know, that's one of the things that really, when you ask what's the thing that changed for me, and I'm gonna share this real quick because it's gonna lead into today's question for Truth Talks. But what's that thing for me? And that thing for me is being sold out to my happiness. That's my true north. That's my guiding star. So it really is my world, my life, my rules. So that brings me to tonight's Truth Talks topic, which, as you guys know, changed the format of this a little bit, and so now it is really a question and answer forum where you can inbox me questions and I will respond via video on Facebook Live with an answer. Your name's always held confidential, of course, because that's part of my program is confidentiality. But anyway, so tonight's question came as a result of a video that I did yesterday where I was talking about happiness and the things that potentially, the thing that you might think makes you happy could be the very thing that you feel like is drowning you or suffocating you, it's killing you. And so we talked through that. And so one of the questions that I got inboxed to me, the lady said, "Hey Marci, loved the video yesterday, but it made me start to think, what's next for me? I just feel stuck. I feel like I don't know what comes next. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing," was what her message said. And you know, I love that question because it reminds me of me. It reminds me of me. And you know, I think we all reach a certain point, whether it's an empty nester syndrome situation, whether it's a situation where we're still climbing the corporate ladder. So I've reached this point, but I know that I want to do something more, but I just don't know what that looks like. Or it could be somebody who's maybe retiring, who's kind of had it with the 9-to-5 thing, aged out and ready to just like, still wants to make an impact, but wants to do something different, doesn't know where or how to go about that. And our entrepreneurs who are continuous idea bunnies, right? Like, that's the thing for an entrepreneur. Like, we have 100 million ideas rolling around, but to know which one to pursue next is often difficult. And so what I shared with her when she asked the question was actually 3 things that I got from my coach. You know, I say a coach needs a coach, and a dentist needs a dentist, and a trainer needs a trainer, right? And so one of the things, many of you know that I work very closely with Dr. Will Moreland. He is an amazing business coach. He's one of the nation's best keynote speakers, and he is not only my coach, but he is also part of my personal board of directors. And so what I shared with her and what I'm going to share with you guys on this is a principle that I learned from my coach, Dr. Will. And he, I don't know how else to say this, but he ingrained this in my head early on in my coaching and training with him. And he calls it his car. He said everybody has to have a car. And so, you know me, I have to put my own Live Life on Mars spin on it. And so I say you got to keep your car in your own lane. But for that piece of it. So what comes next? How do you know what's next? How do you know where you go from here? The first thing So CAR is an acronym. It stands for clarity, accountability, and results. And that is the piece, that car, driving that car is the thing that Doc taught me years ago, where whenever I feel myself, because you have to learn to self-manage. You have to learn to self-manage. On the road to success, whether it's entrepreneurship, climbing the corporate ladder, whatever the case, you have to learn to self-manage. And so the object for a good coach, a great coach, is not to tell you where to go, not to tell you how to drive, but to give you the keys to the car, right? Give you the keys to the car. So, like I said, I always take his little stuff and I make it my own, but you give you the keys to the car, and really, that's what makes a great coach. But being willing and able to accept the keys, put them in the ignition, and drive is all up to you. And so, what Doc taught me was your car, your clarity. And so for this piece, what I shared with the young lady was, like, you have to get clear about, what do you like? What do you enjoy? What's important to you? Who are you? For me, when I left a domestic violence situation, that was a game changer for me. That's when I really was like, you know what? Doc had given me my keys to my car, but I wasn't driving it until that happened. And, once I took those keys and I got in my car and I worked on my clarity, that was the biggest stumbling block for me. When we talk about getting over your stumbling blocks, knowing who I was, knowing what I liked, what I enjoyed, I had self-identified with everybody around me, and I had no sense of self. So clarity for me was huge in my coaching journey. And that's a profound principle that remains in my life and in my business and in my relationships. When we talk about life, relationships, and business, everything has to be a cohesive unit. You can't have everything segmented off and expect for stuff to fire on all cylinders. And so the clarity piece was huge. The second piece of driving your car is your accountability. You have to find ways to hold yourself accountable. And one of the best ways for me has been to maintain my coaching relationship with my coach. And so what gets tracked gets done, what gets measured gets done, what gets scheduled gets done. If you put a willy-nilly just out there in the atmosphere like, oh, hey, I wanna, but you don't put any way to measure it, you don't have any way to be accountable back to the result, then it's more than likely you're not going to get done. You're not going to get the result that you want. And so to decide what comes next, you have to clear out that clarity piece so that you know kind of where am I going to take my car, where am I going, where am I driving. You got the accountability, which is going to not only help you stay on track and stay on the right road, it's going to help you create the blueprint. It's going to help you create that roadmap. That's what, if I would say the biggest gift of coaching is that accountability piece. And then the last piece of it is your results. Like, your results are going to tell the story. Your results are going to speak for you. Your results will speak for you. It's your job to decide what story they're going to tell. Are they going to tell that you're off track and you're lazy and you're confused? Or are they going to say they're crushing it? He knocked that one out of the park. She's on top of her game. That's all up to you. Your results are up to you. Your coach can only do so much. But you have to accept the keys to your car, and then you have to be willing to drive. And for her, that whole what's next piece is scary. It's scary, but it doesn't have to be. It really does just come down in the most simplistic form to having a plan. And that is your clarity piece. That's where all the planning begins. That's where all the blueprinting begins. We were talking about contingency plans yesterday. And the contingency plan starts before there's ever something wrong. Your contingency plan is to guide you when the lights go out, when it gets dark. But your operating procedures is what's going to tell you where you're supposed to be going to begin with. And you put all those pieces together. Once you found that clarity, you put those other components with it, and then you throw in that accountability, the results are going to the results are going to do their own thing. You won't have to chase success. Success will come find you because you are driving your car on your right road and you're staying in your own lane. You know, you can't be willy-nilly all over the place worrying about this person and worrying about that person and then expect that you're going to get the results that you want. More than likely, if you're worrying about somebody else's business or you're trying to drive somebody else's car with their keys in their lane, then you're going to be seeing their results, and that might not be where you were supposed to be. So, you know, I know that there's a lot of people that just feel stuck and feel like, I know for me it was sort of this feeling of, give you an example for corporate, right? When I started getting really restless. I'd say about the last 3 years before I exited corporate America and went into entrepreneurship full time. I was really restless. Things were frustrating me easily. I felt like my voice wasn't being heard. You know, I was having all of these internal conversations in my head about, you know, what the future looked like, and the question that kept coming up for me was, there's got to be something more than this. I seriously was not sent here. Yes, I make 6 figures. Yes, I'm successful by everyone else's measure, but I am so unfulfilled. I am so frustrated. I am so stuck, and I felt trapped. I felt trapped to I felt trapped to the 6 figures. I felt trapped to the title in some respects, and I realized that I wasn't being true to me. I had said, Marci, you are sold out to your happiness, because by that time I had started my business. I just wasn't working at full time, and I had said to myself, you're sold out to your happiness. And I really had to force myself to sit down, and when we talk about that clarity piece, and we talk about looking through that lens of, does this make me closer to my goal or farther from it? If my goal is happiness, I had to sit myself down and say, is this getting me closer to being happy, or is it taking me farther from it? And I swear to you guys, every day I would get in that car and I would get on the freeway, especially once I moved to Chandler, and I had an hour plus commute each way, bumper to bumper traffic. I'm irritated. Everybody in the cars around me are irritated. Everybody's frustrated. That did not make me happy. That did not make me happy. Commuting does not make me happy. That much I can tell you. When we talk about that clarity, it doesn't make me happy. And so, you know, about that time, 5 years, about 5 years ago, Doc and I sat down and we did a 5-year plan, and I was looking at the photo from that the other day, and it said my life at 50. It was a heading on the top of the planning sheet, and in that I had committed to exiting corporate within 2 to 3 years and running my business full time. And guess what? Guess what? 3 years. I was out. For the last 2 years now, I've been running my business full time as an entrepreneur. So it can be done if you accept the keys to your car. And I hope Doc gets the chance to see this video, because he's gonna laugh at because I used to hate hearing him, where's your car, Marci? Where's your car? Where's your car? And I would always like, I just didn't want to hear it, because that was that accountability factor. If he has to ask me where is my car, I already know now. That means I'm not on track. He's seen something that told him, as my coach and as my personal board of directors, a consultant, advisor, sensei, whatever you want to call it. He's seen something that's telling him that I'm off track from what I've said I wanted to do for my goals, or where I said I wanted to direct my business. So if you're feeling what's next, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling trapped, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling like there's something else out there, the best advice that I can give is to get a coach, get a mentor, and sit down and map out your plan. That's the thing. You have to put it on paper. You have to hold yourself accountable for it, or you're never going to get the results that you want. So clarity, accountability, results, Thank you, Dr. Moreland. I finally got it. I hope you can see that I finally got it, Dr. Will. But yeah, so that's that thing. And you know, this is an example too of how your coach can give you a tool, but it's up to you to implement it. But once you get the tool and you start implementing it and you start using it and you start seeing those results in your life, it becomes muscle memory for you. And so for me now, you know, CAR is part of who I am, and it's part of what I share now with my clients. And I always say, when I get better, my clients get better because they get a better coach. So that's my word for today. You guys have any questions about coaching? If you have any questions about CAR, feel free to inbox me. And then, of course, I'm always looking for questions because I'm loving this Q&A, asked and answered, for Truth Talks. And remember, Truth Talks is open to, doesn't have to be just about business. It's about us having real conversations about real stuff that real people are going through. So inbox me if you have questions, and I will catch you guys later. Have an amazing Friday. We'll talk soon.